What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the Sixers Digest YouTube channel. My name is Barnard, as always, and we have some more comments to break down from Joel Embiid, who did join the Maxey on the Mic podcast by Tyrese Maxey, presented by iHeartRadio, that I do want to discuss on this video here. I already dropped one talking about Embiid's specific comments on Ben Simmons, why he is the one that got away, according to Embiid, and what he felt about his style, and why he did not need a jumper. Thought that was some great comments from Embiid, and I also really like what he said here. Cool to see him dive into some areas where he doesn't typically talk about, and I will put in context here that Embiid did kind of bring this up, that when the interview was kind of winding down, that Maxey was like, anything else that you want to ask? And Embiid's like, well, I'm kind of disappointed we didn't get anything controversial or anything they want to ask. And Maxey kind of laughed about it, keeping it softball questions. But then we did get these answers from Embiid. So in this video, I want to talk about his comments specifically on Nikola Jokic. So I have two different clips that I want to break down. I'm going to start off originally with his thoughts on Jokic, then talk a little bit about the whole discussion and dive into one more. So let's kick things off with this clip here.
Talks about this, right? You, Jokic, whatever. I don't never hear you talk about it. So do y'all, like, is it a rivalry for y'all? Because let's be honest, y'all top, last 4 years?
Yeah, top two.
It's going to be again. Let's just be honest. You know what I'm saying? You know that. We know that. It's just, we're going to have a good team. You know, we're going to be high in seed and whatever. They're going to be the same. It's going to come down to y'all two again. Like, you know what I'm saying? Do you feel like, because I know you and your competitive nature, one, you want to win the championship. We already know that. I think everybody in the world knows that. But does it, like, really, really deep down, like, do you feel some type of way about it? Or does it, like, whatever?
No, I think
you don't talk about it.
I think you can be competitive and not be personal. I love him.
Right.
Like, I watch all of his games. Like, I watch every game anyways, and if it's on TV, I'm watching his games because I love his game. I love the way he plays basketball. The passing is absurd, and he's up his scoring ability. Like, I mean, he has to do everything, like everything really on offense. I mean, just like I do, but you know, he's just fun watching him. The way he plays, like, he's just fun. You know, watching a 7-foot center that's able to just dribble and pass the ball and, you know, score, and there's nothing you can do about it because I can relate to that.
So for starters, very cool to see Joel Embiid kind of give love to Jokic, keeping things very civil. This has become such like a heated rivalry, and it really feels like that this is purely from fan bases, that there is no smoke or no beef between Jokic and Embiid themselves. And I really especially love that line where he said, I think you can be competitive without being personal. That, to me, is a very cool acknowledgement. I thought it was an overall mature answer from Embiid, and I do think that this overall discourse and discussion has gotten way more vile than it should be, and for obvious reasons. That when we dive into things, as was mentioned here, the past 3 seasons, Nikola Jokic winning 2 MVPs, Joel Embiid winning 1, Jokic being the runner-up last year, and Embiid being the runner-up 2 seasons prior. These are 2 of the most talented players across the entire NBA. And one note that I do want to make is I love that the NBA made the change where the all-NBA teams will now be positionless, because this kind of lets off some of the discourse. That is no longer this heated thing. There is no doubt that both Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid are 2 of the top 5 players in the NBA. I think you would have to get a really hot take artist to disagree with that statement there. They both just are. They both are that level of talent. And the difference being that with this all-NBA teams, you had to rule 1 on the first team, 1 on the second team, kind of bumping them out of the bottom 5 or out of the top 5 there. And while most kind of brush that off and be like, whatever, one guy owned it, one guy was better, there are like effects of this, that a lot of the stipulations that come with these max contracts and major deals are tied to all-NBA. The word max contract does not mean the same for every player. What is defined as a max for players is based on their accolades, based on what they do. So it does matter to these guys in the context of their financials and everything else. But to talk about Embiid and Jokic specifically, I do just want to note what supreme talent both of them are. And we look at them side by side here, you can make the case for either one of them. This comes a little bit to preference of player for which that you like better. For me, I'm always going to be a Joel Embiid guy. That, to me, the difference between these two, the biggest gap is in their defense. That as much as you want to throw advanced stats, talk about the numbers, all these things, that Jokic is a smart defender, heady defender, all these things, Embiid is just capable of getting to a level vertically and blocking shots in a way that Jokic can't. that Embiid can make up for others' mistakes in a way that Jokic can't. Now, on the other side of the coin, I have to acknowledge that Jokic does things that Embiid simply can't as well. While we're seeing this massive playmaking leap in Joel Embiid, and I'm going to circle back to that topic specifically, that's something that Jokic does on the regular, that he absolutely is one of the best passers across the entire NBA. And while Embiid's seeing this growth in playmaking this season, this is stuff that Jokic is creating passes in a way that Embiid simply can't. There is a notable gap in that as well. They're both terrific scorers. Embiid absolutely gets the nod on that one as well. The bottom line is it does come down to preference, that both of these guys are among the most talented. And you know what? We're getting this race all over again. That when you look at the MVP tracker for this season, this is according to B-Ball Reference here, Joel Embiid currently leading the pack at number 1, Nikola Jokic number 2, and then down the line we see Tyrese Halliburton, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a bunch of other names there. But I do think it's quite clear that we're going to see the Jokic versus Embiid conversation once again. And one of the points that Embiid hit on during this interview, or during the entirety of the interview with Maxey, is he talked about how it's just going to happen kind of naturally because the Sixers are going to be close to, or if not, one of the top teams in the East, and Embiid's the best player. And the same thing in the West, that while there's a ton of teams up and down and things are still settling, still pretty early in the season, when everything's said and done, the Denver Nuggets are going to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference, and Nikola Jokic statistically is going to be leading them in just about every category. So that is why these MVP races kind of happen organically. Now, I like that Embiid did take it very responsible, very respectful with that answer, but there was a second part of things that he answered here that I particularly liked as well.
But then again, it's like, well, like you know me, I'm competitive.
Extremely.
So, if you're telling me that,
this person's better than me.
Yeah, this person is better than me, or, that's my competition to try to win a championship.
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm gonna freaking get going and, try to play as hard as I can in every single game.
Respectfully,
yeah,
you're gonna try to play
respectfully, and I'm trying to, go at anybody. I go at anybody anyways.
Yeah.
So like anybody that I play, it doesn't matter if I play the 29 ranked team in the NBA, whoever is on that side, whatever big man or whoever is guarding me, I'm going at them.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying like it's not personal. It's not like I don't do it against other guys.
Right.
And then that one game, I'm like, okay, I'm coming in, I'm going to dominate you and kick your ass and all that. I just do it. I just try to do it against anybody.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not, personal. It's just me being competitive. And guess what? I want it all. I want to win a championship. We can talk about individual awards and, team awards. I want to win a championship. I want to win a lot of MVPs. I want to win a lot of Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
I want everything.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's out of my hands. If, I get voted or not. But I can't control that. I can't control if I'm going to win that. But guess what? I'm going to do whatever is necessary.
Everything in your power.
That helps us win.
Yeah.
And
I love hearing that that's Embiid's mindset here. That I want it all, saying how he wants the championship. I want a bunch of MVPs. I want a bunch of Defensive Player of the Years. That's what we all should want. That so often we see these players getting caught up in the politics of the NBA, how to manage a press conference, do all these things. That the bottom line is you want these guys to want to compete. This is the same reason that we're doing this fancy in-season tournament to try and get a little bit of interest in a regular season game, throwing money at these guys, trying to get them competitive. You should want these NBA players to want to win, to want to succeed, to want the accolades. These are some of the most competitive human beings on the planet, that you want them to be wanting these things. It makes absolute no sense why people get criticized for wanting these individual awards, because when things are said and done, that is how you remember guys. That this legacy means something to each of these guys. That Joel Embiid is going to want to look back at his career and see all those plaques and banners and awards hanging next to his name. That is what's going to go into his Hall of Fame induction speech. That is when we look back in the history textbooks in the context of the NBA. That is how he will be remembered. So it's not lame for him to be wanting MVP or for going hard for MVP. In fact, I think that's admirable. I thought it was super lame last year when we hear Jokic kind of getting caught up on I don't care, kind of throwing things, dogging things. It's like you should want to compete for this. I would much rather Joel Embiid going balls to the walls, competing wire to wire against a mediocre team towards the end of the season to maybe boost his stats and help his case for MVP, rather than a guy kind of bailing in and not caring. Because I do think it's garbage that they don't care. And frankly, I do think that for the most part, it is pretend. And to kind of break down specifically what Embiid said in that, the quote that I'm talking about here is what he mentioned, quote, "Guess what? I want it all. I want to win a championship. We can talk about individual awards and team awards. I want to win a championship. I want to win a lot of MVPs. I want to win a lot of Defensive Player of the Years. I want everything. I absolutely love that from Joel. And you know what? This isn't just a talk the talk kind of thing. He's gotten better every single year. And to speak on this year, the year after that he won his MVP, that for many it felt like this was kind of the he finally got it. He can relax and focus on just team success, relaxing a little bit, maybe load management a more. That has not been the case whatsoever to start this year's. In fact, he's gotten better. To look at his numbers off this year and comparing off last year, where he averaged 33.1 points per game, led the NBA, 10.2 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 1.7 blocks. He's improved in every single one of those statistical categories this year. So far, averaging 33.4 points per game, 11.5 rebounds per game. And look at the offensive rebounding difference. From 1.7 to 3.3, this would be the highest mark of his career. The assists, 6.4 per game. That is a huge step up from the previous 4.2 that was a career high. And 1.9 blocks, that is the highest since 2017-2018 for Embiid. He's continuing to get better. He's continuing to improve. And guess what? These Sixers are only going to be better because of it. And the last note that I want to bring in here, that when we get into these statistical arguments, is it is cool to see Joel Embiid improving from the playmaking. I know there's been a little bit of a war between the guys that, we watch ball, we see the film, we know the tape, and believe Joel Embiid's better because of that, versus kind of the advanced analytics guys that dive in and throw these wild stats at Jokic. I will say I've had a particular issue with some of the advanced stats arguments here. One of that being that a lot of these advanced stats, and I'm specifically speaking on a couple, the Raptor, the LeBron, things like that, they weigh assists significantly heavier for big men, which I feel is wrong in today's NBA because it's gotten more positionless just year after year, that there just is not this set structure of big men do this, guards do this, wings do this, in the way that it once was. So I had an issue with Jokic kind of getting more credit for these assists in a way that would not be the case if he just happened to be a little bit smaller. Now that Embiid is taking these playmaking leaps, and he is averaging 6.4 assists per game, still far cry from what Jokic is averaging, but by far his career high and one of the best from a big man in the NBA, he's right in the mix with all these advanced analytics, and there's going to be many that point his way. So who knows how this will end when it comes to the accolades, the awards, but all I know is Joel Embiid cares, Joel Embiid is competing, and the Sixers are better because of this. I'm happy to hear him speak on it. I love how he handled all of that, both from the respect standpoint, giving Jokic his flowers there, as well as the standpoint of him telling that he does care. He is competing because he absolutely should. Let me know what you guys think on those specific comments from Joel. If you're cool with him caring, how he handled that question, all those things. I personally am thrilled. I thought this was an awesome interview as a whole, that you got to see him let his guard down a little bit, have some fun with Maxey on the mic there. So I very much enjoyed listening. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to this one here. Make sure to drop a like, drop a subscribe if you have not already, and I will talk with you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.